TV. So if you haven't subscribed to True Disciples of Christ TV, what are you waiting for? We're going to be putting out a lot of relevant content on this particular channel, this TV, that should help you get into the kingdom. To those of you that's interested in the truth and what we teach here at True Disciples of Christ TV, and the other channels, True Disciples of Christ, and the other channel, Deprogram Enlightener, what we teach here is the truth. And so, again, those of you that's actually on the outside looking in, what are you waiting for to come in? What are you waiting for? So, I mean, what today's show is actually going to be, the Shabbat class is going to be about the Devil's Punchbowl. It's very, very, very informative show. So, you know, again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. This is probably going to ruffle a lot of feathers, without a doubt. Even some of the people on our side may, you know, get upset. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, get over your emotions. We don't want any of you men taking on any kind of effeminate energy. You know, if you know, experience something that you think, wow, hey, I didn't know that. Don't be shocked. If you're floored by some of the information that's actually going to come out through the set apart spirit, that's, you know, just get your behind up off of the floor and keep it moving. You know, be a man. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Devil's Punchbowl. Some of you may be aware of it, and some of you may not be. It's definitely nothing to be proud of, and particularly for so-called Euro Gentiles. So the Devil Punchbowl is actually a place located in Natchez, Mississippi. You know anything about that, good brother Richard? That's your neck, isn't it? Is Richard on the call? Let's see. No, I don't believe he's on the call yet.
Not yet.
Parents from Texas.
Join the meeting.
Whatever happened to Dietrich's? Good brother Dietrich. Haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, right there. There he is.
Today.
There he is. He's in there. Hey, Dietrich, that's your neck, isn't it? That's your neck. The sip, right? You saw in that area, right, Dietrich? In the sip? Yeah, that's your neck. That's your neck. You know anything about the Devil's Punchbowl out there?
Dietrich, you're still muted, man. You got to unmute yourself. So
yeah, you're still muted, man. Don't get me nervous, King. I'm the one that's talking. Yeah, man, you're still muted. But anyways, that's your neck. And that's Richard's neck also. See, I'm about to give him some history. He doesn't even know anything about it. He's from that. That's his neck. He's from that area. That's his neck of the woods. Now, I'm going to start, you know what I mean, by asking a question. Since the good brother Dietrich is out there, I'm not picking on him. Did you know that Mississippi did not officially abolish slavery until 2013? How many people knew that? According to law, Mississippi, the state of Mississippi, Mississippi, M-I, crooked letter I, humpback I, did not abolish slavery officially until 2013. Now, I know that might sound ludicrous, absurd, but it's true. Now, two medical colleagues, right, from the great state of Mississippi, right? Now, they noticed this historical oversight after watching a film about the final moves by the United States President, Abraham Lincoln, so-called Honest Abe, to secure the 13th Amendment that would essentially abolish slavery. Now, you should know that there's a clause in there that says slavery is illegal except if you break the law. If you break the law, you can still be a slave. And this is why their prison systems are infested with so-called black men. You're populating the prisons more than anyone. So until February the 7th, 2013, don't believe me, you could probably finish the rest of the sentence. I'm Yasha Bum. You know what I'm going to say? Go and check it out for yourself. Go and check it out for yourself. So until February the 7th, 2013, the oversight was actually never corrected. So essentially, the state of Mississippi had until that date, not officially, they had not until that date, February the 7th, 2013, the state of Mississippi had not officially abolished slavery until that date, because it had never submitted the required documentations to ratify the 13th Amendment. You can't even call me a liar, man. Better yet, stop me where I'm lying at. So the 13th Amendment, which outlawed all slavery and involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime. So that means if you spit on the damn sidewalk, if you get a traffic ticket, if you get involved into a domestic situation, your black behind is still a slave. They can make you a slave in the blink of an eye. And guess what? If you don't commit a crime, they'll create one for you. That's what they was doing down there anyways. Don't you know it was illegal for a so-called black man to walk adjacent to a railroad track? They was put on a damn chain gang for that. And I can't make this stuff up, man. So the 13th Amendment, which supposedly outlawed all slavery and involuntary servitude, but you keep consenting. Involuntary means you can't be a slave unless you consent. Unless you consent. You guys, you keep consenting. New kind of slave today, debtor, straw man. So, except for the punishment of a crime, it was passed by the U.S. Senate on April the 8th, 1864, and the House of Representatives on January the 31st, 1865. And so that same year, 26 states ratified the law in December of that year. So the amendment was actually officially adopted in the United States law after Georgia, where your good brother Yasha Bum might be, gave its approval, bringing the number to the required 27. So 27 scores of states waited years to ratify the amendment. They waited to ratify the amendment, with the last being the great state of Mississippi in 1995. But because the state never presented the ratification to the U.S. archivist, it was never considered to be official until 2013. And you wonder why it's so damn hard in Mississippi, man. So almost everyone had overlooked this clerical error until the movie that inspired Dr. Ranjan Batra, a professor of anatomical sciences at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, to look into the matter. So after watching Steven Spielberg's Oscar-nominated film called Lincoln. How many people saw the film called Lincoln? It was a very interesting movie. I saw it. Oh, you Negroes, you're not interested in anything like that. You're just interested in the ball game. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. 49ers, man. Okay, roger that. So that movie Lincoln focused on the passage of the 13th Amendment. They put the truth right in your face, but you guys are not interested. So Batra, who is actually an immigrant from India, knew that he needed to take action. So at the end of the story, if you watch the movie, there was an open question about how the ratification process proceeded. And so he told ABC News, living in the South, as I do, I found that a pretty big open question. So this man Batra, he began his own investigation, and subsequently he noticed on the website unconstitution.net. You can go and check it out for yourself. Unconstitution.net, that there was an asterisk next to the state of Mississippi. Why was it an asterisk, good brother Dietrichs? Because it was concerning the ratification of the 13th Amendment. Mississippi ratified the amendment in 1995. This is over damn 100 years later. But because the state never officially notified the U.S. archivist, the ratification is not official. So the statement on the website read, inspired further to resolve the oversight. So this man Batra contacted his University of Mississippi Medical Center colleague, a man by the name of Ken Sullivan, who was ready to help. And so one of the first actions that Sullivan took was to call the National Archives Office of the Federal Registrar, which confirmed that Mississippi had indeed not yet ratified the law. You know why he got away with so much? They had never abolished slavery. So the longtime resident of Mississippi then took a trip to the state archives to acquire a copy of the bill. The last paragraph of the bill directs the Secretary of the State of Mississippi to inform the National Archives of the law of the ratification, which is exactly the way the ratification is actually supposed to proceed. But that hadn't been done. Why wasn't the feds on him? Why wasn't the presidents on him? How in the hell did they get away for this for over 100 years, man? It never happened. And it actually never been done for whatever reason. So Sullivan later watched Lincoln, that movie, Lincoln. If you haven't saw it, go and check it out. So Sullivan watched this movie with his family. So then he moved further to help to correct the error. Someone give me the book of Obadiah. So, I mean, they've been keeping brothers and sisters still in slavery. They treat you like crap. I asked this question about 2 weeks ago. How many people actually went and saw that movie that the brother that was born in Baltimore? He was a real lawyer. The same guy that played the Black Panthers, Creed. He played Creed, but he was playing an attorney in this movie with Jamie Foxx being the guy in prison that was thrown in prison illegally. And so the guy decided to go down to Mississippi, man. And even as a lawyer, they were strip searching the guy. They strip searched the lawyer. And they treated him like the N-word. Like they had absolutely no respect for him. If you didn't see that movie, I can't remember the name of it right now, but you should really check that movie out, man. Movie's actually based on actual events. Event. So can someone get the book of Obadiah? Let's see what's going to happen to these people that create things like the Devil's Punchbowl. People that allow slavery to continue legally for over 100 years after it was supposedly abolished. Are you trying to tell me that no one else in government saw this error? Someone get the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 15.
Book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 15. And it reads, "For the day of the Lord is near upon all heathen."
Okay, stop for a second. A heathen is any other nation that's not of the nation of Yasha Allah. That's not of the nation of Israel. That's you. You're Israel. And all the other nations inside of the eyes of the Lord, that power, are heathens.
As thou hast done, it
So
shall be
as you
done.
have, as you had kept our people into slavery, as you had to lynch our people, as you had dragged our people behind trucks, as you have ravished our women, what did the Lord say? Read that again.
As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee.
Oh no, you're supposed to turn the other cheek. That's not what the Lord says right here. When the Lord was telling you to turn the other cheek, he was telling you to turn the other cheek against your fellow brethren. Read that again, brother, from the top. Obadiah 1 verse 15.
For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen.
Yeah, those that created the Punchbowl and their descendants. Read.
As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head.
So the Lord is saying what they done is going to come back to them. And they know that. Many of them, someone get Jeremiah 50 verse 29. They know that. And this is why they're trying to prolong their rulership. This is where they're trying to get you to break the laws of the Most High so he can extend his stay. Revelation said the devil knows he has but a short time. So he's coming down with great wrath. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 29.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 29, and it reads, Call together the archers against Babylon. All ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape.
So this is the judgment. What is one of the biblical names for America? A modern day Babylon. A modern day Babylon. These archers represents men of war. Okay, read them.
Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she have done unto her. For she have been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day.
So the Lord said they're going to be put to death. We can stop right there. So the Lord says she's going to pay for what she done to Israel, the modern Babylon. So going back to this man Sullivan, right? So this man Sullivan, he contacted the office of Mississippi Secretary of State. At that time, the man's name was Dilbert Horseman, right? Who agreed to file the required documentation to the National Archives and to make the ratification official. So on January the 30th, 2013, don't believe me, go and check it out for yourself, Dietrich. What's going on in your country, the great state of Mississippi. Horseman sent the necessary paperwork to the office of the Federal Register. A week later, on February the 7th, 2013, Mississippi received word from the office of the Federal Register that confirmed that it had officially ratified the 13th Amendment. The senator then said, hey, we finally got it right. That's what Senator Fraser said. He helped develop the bill. But Solomon and this man Bartra from India and many others were elated that the error was fixed, considering that Mississippi's history was slavery. They was ruthless. In 1820, Mississippi had 33,000 slaves. In 1820, Mississippi had 33,000 slaves. And that number ballooned to 437,000 slaves after 40 years, giving the state's country's largest slave population. Where was it at? In Mississippi. In Mississippi. According to a report by the Mississippi Encyclopedia. Don't believe me? Go and check it out for yourself. You Edomites, you don't want to talk about this stuff. It becomes atrocious when we speak about the greatest Holocaust in the annals of history, but you will talk about the others. This didn't happen on a farm and shore. It happened right here in Mississippi, but these people don't want to talk reparations. 437,000 in one state. Slaves. Somebody got awfully rich. So very few, if any, southern states received as many slaves and exported as few as it did this state, Mississippi. Now let's talk about the Devil's Punch Bowl. There's something else about Mississippi, right? And this was a wicked state, man, ruthless. So the Devil's Punch Bowl, right, is a place that's located. Hey, Dietrich, have you ever heard of Natchez, Mississippi? Natchez.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, my phone was screaming loading the whole time. It just not clicked in. Yeah, I heard of it's closer down south though. I'm closer up top. I'm almost in Tennessee.
All right.
I'm at the top, but I done heard of it though.
Yeah. So I mean, this place, there's something they got down there called the Devil's Punch Bowl, right?
See, I ain't never heard of that though. I don't know
Natchez, Mississippi. Oh, you're gonna learn today, good brother.
Okay. What's up?
So now during the Civil War, right? These Union soldiers, I didn't say 1,000. I didn't say 10,000. They forced tens of thousands of slaves who had actually been freed to live in damn concentration camps. Not in Nazi Germany, but right here in America, they had concentration camps with freed Black people in it, so-called Black people, Israelites, that had been freed from slavery. So the so-called Union soldiers decided to go and recapture those men and put them back into slavery and make the women and children stay in this place called the Devil's Punch Bowl, and they died of starvation. Oh, you thought that just happened in Ethiopia? Esau done this, man. This is written out of their history. They don't want you to know this history. That's why you never heard about it, good brother. How in the hell this is going to occur in that state, and they don't even teach the people about that down there in school?
Right.
See, the United States covers this history, man. But they're swift to support and provide reparations for the Jewish Holocaust, for what happened to people in Japan, the Japanese that was brought here and put in concentration camps, for what they done to when they dropped Fat Boy and Little Man, those nuclear bombs that they dropped in Japan, Fat Man and Little Boy. They reparated these people. They gave the Indians reparations, put them on reservations and gave them land. Why haven't they done it to you? Shouldn't the light go off, family? Everyone except for you. So this Union Army, the ones that you see with that damn Confederate flag that they never wanted to give up, the Union Army did not allow them, when the women and children was actually dying in the Devil's Punch Bowl, they wasn't allowed them to remove the bodies to be buried. They was not allowed to take the bodies from the camp. The Union Army just gave them shovels and say, bury them where they drop. Just bury them right there. So now they've been doing some recent digging, and they've been getting skeletons and so on and so forth, right, all over that area, man. It's coming up of those dead people that was there. You understand? Now, according to this lady, Paula Westbrooks, that I was reading, she researched through a place named Adams County's Sheriff Reports, right? Adams County Sheriff's Reports, right? And I quote, the slaves were released from the plantations during the occupations. They overran Natchez, Mississippi. And the population went from 10,000 to 120,000 overnight. That's how many slaves, ex-slaves flew in that place. So what happened? The Union Army decided to build this encampment, a concentration camp, known as the Devil's Punch Bowl, which they walled off that wouldn't let them out. Someone got a lot of noise going on. I think it's you, good brother Dietrich. You might want to meet. So they surrounded them with a concrete wall, man. So they couldn't get out. They couldn't get out. And I'm going to show you some pictures of this thing, man. It's very like leery, man. So these are so-called American soldiers that did this to our people, man. So they walled it off and they wouldn't let them out. Now, there's a man by the name of Don Estates. He's a former director of Natchez City Cemetery. And this man said that the history research in his life, during his studies, he said that he learned that the Union troops ordered the recapture of the black men to put them back into slavery, but the women and children were left to die inside of the Devil's Punchbowl. And so it was so many of them cluttered there that diseases broke out amongst them. And one of them, the primary disease was smallpox, right? And thousands upon thousands died. I didn't say 100. I said thousands upon thousands died. And they was begging to get out. The place was so horrific that these people that had actually been freed from slavery was begging to go back in slavery. They said, I'd rather be in slavery than in this hellhole, the Devil's Punchbowl. They was begging to get out. They was saying, turn me loose. I want to go back to the plantation, anywhere but here. This is what now these people weren't slaves anymore. They were free men and women and children. But it was letting them die of starvation in the Devil's Punchbowl. Someone get the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and 56. Jeremiah 51 and 56.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 56, and it reads, because the spoiler is come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taking, every one of them of their bowels is broken.
So the spoiler, according to the Bible, according to the Lord, the spoiler is going to come upon America, a modern day Babylon, for what they've done to you, Yasha Allah. They hate our guts, man. And when you put out something like this, they want to call it. This is not racist, man. This is giving people historical facts, and they can't disprove it because this is the truth. Go ahead, brother. Keep reading.
For the Lord of recompenses shall surely requite.
So that means the Lord's going to repay them in full. The Lord shall surely requite, which means he's going to pay you in full. From there, let's get the book of Ezekiel, chapter 30, verse 3. Can we get another reader, man? I see the brother Mikael's on the call. So y'all should go know how to, read by himself.
Book of Ezekiel, chapter 30, verse 3. For the day is near, even the day of the Lord is near.
The day of the Lord is Hamashiach's second return. You got a lot of these people talking about, yeah, I can't wait. The day of the Lord, the day of the Lord. Yeah, what the hell is it to you? The day of the Lord for you is darkness and not light. Read.
A cloudy day. It shall be the time of the heathen.
Yeah, it's going to be the time of the heathen. It's going to be the time of the nations, in other words. You can replace that word heathen with nations. From there, let's go to Ezekiel 35, verse 11.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, verse 11. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will even do according to thine anger.
So the Lord, he damn sure can't break his own promise. So if he says something's going to happen, it is going to occur. Go ahead.
And according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them.
Yeah, against the them is the Israelites. The them is the Israelites. Your hatred against them, the Israelites. Go ahead, read on.
And I will make myself known amongst them when I have judged thee.
All right. All right. Yeah, from there, let's go to the 15th verse. Let's jump down to the 15th verse.
As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel.
Right. Yeah, they rejoiced, man, when they took our inheritance. Read on.
Because it was desolate.
Yeah, because it was destroyed. The temple was utterly destroyed in 70 AD for the last time. Read on.
So will I do unto thee.
So will I what?
So will I do unto thee.
So will I do unto thee. Read on.
Thou shalt be desolate on Mount Seir.
Who's Mount Seir? And we ain't even got to say nothing, man. Who was in Mount Seir? Esau. Esau. Esau dwells in Mount Seir. He took it from the Horites.
And all Idumea.
And all Edom. See how they put that? See how they put that Greek word in there, Idumea. They didn't call it Edom. They put the Greek word there, Idumea. And all Idumea, meaning Edom, the Edomites, meaning red. When you go and look in Hebrew, the word Edom means red. The word Esau means hairy. Don't believe me? Go and check it out for yourself. Why does the Lord say that? Because their blood show forth through their skin. You know.
Even all of it. And they shall know that I am the Lord.
And they shall know that I'm the Lord. From there, let's go to the book of Joel, 1 verse 15. I mean, how could you do this to another man or woman? You can't, except that you go out and you put out a book in the 1900s and say that Negro, a
Joel,
beast, or
verse 15.
son of God. All right, go ahead.
Joel 1:15. Alas, for the day of Yahweh is at hand, and as a destruction from the Almighty.
So this is what's coming, man. It's destruction. Ain't gonna be no peace, man. When we look in Revelations, good brother Craig, last book in the Bible, when Hamashiach is seen coming back, how's he coming back? He's coming back with a sword and a bloody garment. What does that bloody garment represent? It represents war. He's taking people's souls, man. He's coming back with a bloody garment. Not like Reverend Jim Baker, a Weather pork chop, has been lying to our people and telling them. It's not going down like that, man. The second return is for destruction, man. It's for judgment. From there, let's go to Joel 2, verse 1. Book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 1.
Book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh or near at hand.
Come. So it's close. This is coming. And so history, right? History has always made, especially American history, right? They've always made concentration camps to be synonymous with the atrocities in Nazi Germany. But you had concentration camps right here against our people. You don't hear about that. The brother is from down there. The brother said he never even heard about the Devil's Punchbowl. You see, but America has its own dirty secrets about the use of concentration camps against us. See, these camps were located in Natchez, Mississippi, and were used to fill slaves during and after the Civil War. So as the Civil War were being emancipated from the plantations, their rights to freedom, or their routes to freedom, and their paths to freedom usually took them within the vicinity of the Union Army forces. And so these Union Army, these Confederates, they were unhappy with the slaves being free, right? And so the Army began recapturing the freed slaves and forced the men back into labor camps, slave camps, and the women and children into what is known as the Devil's Punchbowl. But the most notorious of several, because it wasn't just one. It wasn't just the Devil's Punchbowl. They had several concentration camps, but the most notorious was located in Natchez, Mississippi, called the Devil's Punchbowl. So as the slaves made their way to freedom, the town of Natchez went from a population, again, from 10,000 to 120,000 people overnight. In order to deal with the population influx of these recently freed slaves, a concentration camp was established to essentially eradicate the former slaves. Do you understand? A concentration camp was established to essentially eradicate the slaves. The men were recaptured by the Union troops and forced back into hard labor, and the women and children were left behind the concrete walls of the camp and left to die from starvation. That's one of the most painful deaths there is, man. Dying from starvation. And many of the people also died from, diseases like smallpox. In total, watch this. In total, right? Over 20,000 freed slaves were killed in 1 year. Over 20,000. Why don't you hear about this in history, man? Over 20,000 in 1 year, in one place in the Mississippi, in the Devil's Punchbowl. Inside an American concentration camp. Now, they don't want to call it that, but that's exactly what it was. Now, one researcher, what I read, he was studying the existence of the concentration camp, and he said, and I quote, Union Army did not allow them to remove the bodies from the camp. They just gave them shovels and said, bury them where they drop, end of quote. And so the camp was called the Devil's Punchbowl, good brother Dietrichs. Go and check it out for yourself. It was called that because the way the area was actually shaped, it was shaped like a bowl. The camp was located at the bottom of a carnivorous pit with trees located on the bluffs above it. Do you understand? Let me share my screen. Let me show you. Let me give your eyes some of what I'm talking about here. Because I put some photos. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Let's look at some photos on this. Devil's Punchbowl, Mississippi.
Yeah, they say that ravine is so deep that it would take a while for even industrial equipment to get down there to dig it out. But the trees, they grow so high. The peach trees, they're growing really well, but no one will eat the peaches because they know the fertilizer or the soil.
How did they create it? What they created with it?
No, it's a natural formation in the land, and that's just what the Union Army used to house all the people. Because it's like a ravine. So once they poured that concrete, that was it.
He's about to see it in a second here, man.
Yeah, I think I only heard of that, man. I never really seen it or knew where the origins was, man.
The Devil's Punchbowl is a place located in Natchez, Mississippi. Did you know that Mississippi didn't officially abolish slavery until 2013? We just covered that. Okay. All of you that have not subscribe to the True Disciples of Christ. Consider joining our assembly. You could go to our website, go to the Join Us page, send an email, your phone number, and a picture so we can see who we're talking to. True Disciples of Christ. This is Yahweh's work, God's work. Right here, join the True Disciples of Christ. Go to our website and click on the Join tab. Or you could actually email Tazadaq at yahoo.com. And you could go fund me. You could actually help us towards getting an assembly and a few other things here. You could also donate at cash.me at Tazadaq Shah. Okay, I already said this several times, Devil's Punchbowl. And this is exactly what's been going on. This is why the good brother Dietrich wasn't familiar with it, is they're keeping silent about it. Shh, don't let this get out. So the Devil's Punch Bowl is a place located in Natchez, Mississippi, where during the Civil War, authorities forced tens of thousands of free slaves to live in concentration camps. The United States covers this history, but they're swift to tell us about others' history. Now, right here, this don't have anything to do with it. I thought I'll throw this in here. This happens in Florida when they was using the little children. They was even using infants to capture alligators. They would call them alligator bait. This is an actual postcard from 1909. They would take little babies, put a rope around them, and throw them out. See that damn gator right there? They would take little babies, put a rope around, and throw them out in the water to try and, bring the alligator in so they could kill the alligator and get some alligator skin, so on and so forth. Sometimes the alligator will swallow the baby whole. This is a beast that does this, man. This is a beast. What sane person would do something like this to a little child? And they want us to forget this? You got to never forget this stuff, man. Because if you do, you're doomed to repeat it. See, they was using these children right here. See how young these children are? So this gator could go in there and try and jump at the children. Sometimes the gator would, rip the children in half, and they would capture the gators. So they was using the children for bait.
From infants to age 2.
Huh. All right, someone want to read this right here? This is Devil's Punch Bowl right here. These people going towards the Devil's Punch Bowl. So they got chains around their neck, man. Reminiscent of the prison system, man. Same thing, man. Same damn thing.
When the slaves were released from plantations during the occupation, they overran Natchez, and the population went from about 10,000 to 120,000 overnight. So many white folks decided to build an encampment for them at Devil's Punch Bowl, which they walled off and wouldn't let them out. Don Estes, former director of Natchez City Cemetery, said that the history research in his life during the studies, he said he learned that Union troops ordered recaptured Black men to perform hard labor. Women and children were all but left to die in the 3 punch bowls. Disease broke out among them, smallpox being the main one, and thousands died. They were begging to get out. Turn me loose, and I'll go back to the plantation, anywhere but here, Esther said.
So you see these people right here? There's a closer picture of them, man. Had it hard, man. We came a long way, man. So these are Confederate soldiers that died. This is the area of the Devil's Punch Bowl right there. 20,000 murdered. 20,000. This is one of the big houses. This is one of the big houses right here. Plantation house. Kind of looks like the White House, doesn't it? Look at those pillars. That's the Devil's Punch Bowl right there. That's one of them right there, good brother. Dietrich. That's what one of them looks like right there. Devil's Punch Bowl.
Those pillars in front of that house look like iron bars in a jail cell.
Come on. It looks like, man. That's one of them right there. Look at that. This is the official 9/11. Isn't it ironic that we're going to hang people like this on 9/11, 1801? Then 2001, 9/11, a mysterious planes fly into the World Trade Center. 9/11. Never forget, huh? Look at this. Good. This is with the word, to those of you that's unaware, little Shenandoah Jr., this is why we never use the word picnic. It originated from this. This was considered to be a picnic, where they would pick a nigger for lynching. That's what the term picnic comes from. Picnic, pick a nigger. And so they would come from hundreds of miles around. They would announce it in the newspaper and all. I have a book about this called 100 Years of Lynching. It's just newspaper articles. and it would tell you about all of the lynchings. And so this is what would occur. They would have barbecues, the women and children, they would celebrate seeing a so-called black person lynched. So don't forget, slavery was legal. The Holocaust was legal, and segregation was legal. They want you to forget. This is why they want you to talk about it. They want you to forget. But they want to make sure that you remember their history. They put it on the dollar bills. That's all they teach you in schools and so on and so forth. They teach you nothing about your history except for, hey, your history starts with slavery, which is a damn lie. These are people they hung in the Devil's Punch Bowl. So when we read that,
Never forget the Devil's Punch Bowl. 20,000 freed slaves died after being forced into post-slavery concentration camps. Devil Punch Bowl, an American concentration camp, so horrific it was erased from history.
how can you do this to another man and have no remorse? Then you cut the man's spleen off. You take his penis and you put it in a damn pickle jar and keep it for souvenirs. I mean, it's cut his fingers off, keep it for souvenirs. It's a sick mind, man.
Dehumanized men, and they made them into something much less than a human being, even though a human being by definition is a monster.
Come.
But they made him, us, Yahweh's divine man, less than, so that they could do these wicked things.
Right.
And they treat them like the livestock that they might kill for dinner.
Come. Yep. So, I mean, here it is again. You see that? Devil's Punch Bowl. Devil's Punch Bowl. These are the men that they put back in captivity that was free, that some of them might have. Let's put them right back into captivity.
By way of holding their women, their wives, and their children and sisters hostage, basically.
Come.
Did you know after and during the Civil War, millions of free Black people were funneled into concentration camps in America and killed through force, starvation, and other means? In Natchez, Mississippi alone, official estimate that over 20,000 free Black people were killed in concentration camps called the Devil's Punch Bowl. To this day, this grove grows beautiful peaches that no one will eat because they know what fertilizes them. Fact.
Blood. The blood of these people. That's what fertilizes them. The blood of our people.
Never forget Devil's Punch Bowl, when 20,000 free Blacks died after being forced into post-slavery concentration camps in the South.
Never forget, man. Never forget. There it is. Natchez, Mississippi. That big pillow right there. It's the way down to the Devil's Punch Bowl. It's just sickening, man. Shameful legacy. They don't want you to know about this. What's going on there?
So from the way this was working out, they would go around and literally abducting women and children only. They ain't go grab a man. And then when the men would come back from looking for work or from out going to, like get food or whatever from trading their labor, they would come back and find their houses empty. So then they would go to the authorities, and then at that point is when they would either force a signature or by use of language or force to get these guys to work, because we did outnumber them. So it ain't like, you know, they were just, you know, like it was just so many of them, because it really wasn't that many in comparison to how many folks overran Natchez. They really did. They really went about it in a slick way.
Yeah, come on. Look at that. Look at this man's leg right here. It's crazy. Devil's Punchbowl again. It's quite a drop right there. The cemeteries of the bodies. Now, these are some of the bodies they had actually recovered and trying to give them a proper burial. But it was so difficult to get down there and trying to extract a lot of those bodies. And then, you know, by this time, they you know, it's hard to identify who's who, you know? Got a lot of John Does and Jane Does out here. Look at that. There's mass hanging right here. Devil's Punchbowl. This is where, what, 20,000 people died in 1 year. It's like just, you know, hanging them like that. Look at that mass hanging. Look how close those bodies are together. I mean, that's just pure hate and evil and wickedness, man. Look at that.
Delta Democrat Times. 212 Negroes perished in Natchez blaze.
Wow. There's a woman right here. Look at that. That's a yoke of iron. That's Bible prophecy right there. He would put a yoke of iron around your neck. That's Bible prophecy right there. You got the women and children just shackled up, man. Look at that. Those are dying of starvation. Look at that. Just like Ethiopia, man. Like these people died of starvation. Painful death. How skinny these people are.
The women and children were locked behind concrete walls of the camp and left to die from starvation. Many also died from smallpox disease. In total, over 20,000 freed slaves were killed in 1 year inside of this American concentration camp.
They severed this man's head off. That means they cut his head off and put it on this. Now, what kind of sick would do this, man? They severed this man's head off. Look at that. Look how he cracked his head open. Sickening, man.
And just to put this into context, all we really did, or what essentially happened, they came here. We showed them how to cultivate the land because they didn't know how to work the land.
Mm-hmm.
We do contracts with them so that way they can have a certain amount of land. We show them what to do, and then they leave us alone. They renege, Trail of Tears, and then boom, crap like this.
Yep. It's a Devil's Punchbowl. He's just throwing bodies down there, man. And they couldn't get up because of this wall of concrete. Damn, it's just like hate, man. It's hard to read right there.
Devil's Punchbowl scientific study area. Visitors are asked to respect the Punchbowl's fragile soils and plains, its stream bed and sandstone scapes, its natural sounds and silences. Wall erected in honor of Dunn County's pioneer in preservation.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's hard to read. I'm sorry. I mean, that's it. You got a real clear depiction of what the place looks like. I mean, so that's just small fraction of what we've actually been through as a people in this country. And that's the kind of history they kind of want you to forget about. They're always suggesting that you forget about. But you got to remember, if you forget your history, then you're doomed to repeat it. So that's why it's important to remember. A lot of people say, that's too painful. I don't want to remember. You need to remember or you're doomed to repeat it. Understand that, man. And so unless someone has something else, I'm going to be signing off. Shalom. Shabbat shalom. We're out.
Boom.
Shalom.
Shalom.